Synchrony and syncresis. Visual music. There are a variety of visual structures which could be called visual music. Classified as a specific type of intermediate art, VM is principally concerned with the use of musical structures that make reference to and connect with visual expressions. The genre is known for producing exciting experiments to match, synchronize, and sometimes asynchronize sound and motion pictures. The different media are not perceived as one complementing the other, but are built together where one is determined by the other. At the point where a sound event and a visual event meet in synchrony, the effect of syncresis becomes particularly prominent. Which passages can appear between the sound and pictures? What is the characteristic feature of synchrony and asynchrony? How we can interpret syncresis? What role do electronics, analog, digital, hybrid, and newer technology play in all of this? The fact is that we holistically perceive our surroundings, so why should we renounce this in the field of art? Through electronics and computers, people have created active creative partners to produce wholly new experiences. Different techniques and tools can be used in connection with visual music, such as applying video synthesizer, eye tracking equipment, 3D mapping, projection, interactive installation, audiovisual work of art, data generation. The early interactive media instruments using real-time electronic audiovisual tools drove back to the 1960s, 80s years. The analog audio-video signals are one of the 20th century most exciting innovations. Using the early media instruments, one can make interactions with machines. These tools with analog audio-video processing make improvisation, mostly comprovisations, possible. Analog video is an open modular system consisting of different components. There are various possibilities to transmit signals. Sound signals can be translated into image signals, can therefore control the visual phenomena of video. The electronic information can at the same time be realized acoustically and visually. The image and sound are produced from the same source. They work together like musical instruments, and they can interact too. Analog Studio in Signal Culture, Oviedo, New York. Both types of image making, analog and digital, have their different creative uses and strengths, but it seems the fusion of them could fasten and satisfy the contemporary experimental artists. Among other, analog colors and forms and sounds are more organic entities, and the digital technique excels in attainability, HD resolution, and accuracy. Synchrony and or syncresis.
A point of synchronization, or sync point, is a salient moment of an audio-visual sequence during which a sound event and a visual event meet in synchrony. It is a point where the effect of syncresis, see below, is particularly prominent, rather like an accented chord in music. Syncresis, a word I have forged by combining synchronism and synthesis, is the spontaneous and irresistible well produced between a particular auditory phenomenon and visual phenomenon when they occur at the same time. This join results independently of any rational logic.
The synchronicity between sound and motion images is based on some kind of automatism. We pretty much see what we hear, but not yet. The medial shift inevitable brings with it an aesthetic shift, transposition and modifications take effect, or rather become the determining drivers of the intermediate process. The syncresis takes the creator and the recipient further along this path. The possibility of conscious interventions of human error is therefore another constructive element. The result can be a multi-layered, polyphonic, multimodular work of art that opens up innumerable possibilities in time and space, in understanding and perceiving with eyes and ears.
Interactivity, e.g.
Audio
oscilloscopes,
and video synthesizers
and video
appeared
synthesizers
in the
appeared in
electronic
the
digital
electronic
world
digital
from the
world
very
from the
beginning.
very beginning.
Usually, the same signal is
The same
transformed
signal is
and
transformed and
takes
takes on a different look. During the transformation, enters another perception, the sensory organ. It looks like synchronicity is closer to synesthesia.
Analog technique, Duffer modular audio synthesizer and Jones mixer and colorizer. The 1-minute signal is an audiovisual work, a fixed version of a multimedia improvisation. The generated audio signals create light shapes that move in an analog way. We see what we hear. With the change of media, the union of the senses also takes place, also the initial signal remains the same. The process may also remind us for a certain phenomena of synesthesia, also the relationship between different expressions linked to the senses. It is perhaps more strict than that. Extract from the 1-minute signal. By the way of rhythm, the lamentation over the death of Henri Michaud is an experimental video for the music of Ákos Nagy.
The composer writes, the piece is built up from several different audio interfaces which are based on Henri Michaud's book on the one hand, where the automatic writing is becoming calligraphic art and then very different meaning contents. In the case of Michaud, these can always be transformed into his self-made ABC set, so in this way the drawing can become writing, and writing can become drawing. I wanted to make this very interesting, and only Michaud characteristic articulation of the main organizing principle of my music. On the other hand, I wanted to emphasize the interoperability between different cultures, which I was interested in as well.
Making the visual of this opus, I used a hybrid technique. In the first phase, I applied analog video, like Jones mixer colorizer, wobulator, raster manipulation unit, and after used digital After Effects. Music and visuals are in a juxtaposition, sometimes moving in synchrony and then moving away to reinforce each other at points of syncresis. The work is a consequence of the multidirectional dialogue between the two creators and the machine. Here also I feel a parallel, but towards free-phased synesthesia. In both cases, albeit to different degrees, real-time interactive sound-generating, lifelike sensory connections play a role. The 1-minute signal is based on synchrony, while the second is based on a looser system, which is featured as syncresis. Can these examples be models for certain forms of synesthesia? Extract from the By the Way of Rhythms, the lamentation over the death of Henri Michaud. Music Ákos Nagy. These mentioned audiovisual works of art are built on the multidirectional movements, transformations, and interactions of different media. One can highlight the fact that image yields sound, sound yields image, while the numeral value of the basic information is usually equal. Conclusion. Can the discussed medial relationship be a model of synesthesia, and if so, can we better understand the synesthetic processes through them? Are we facing virtual synesthesia, or is it something else, and staying within the known categories like visual music, visualization, or sonification? With all the audio and visual elements taking place in real time, the author can play like an instrument. It changes the decision-making process of the artist, although in most cases the final opus is fixed media. There are no editing or splitting points in the material like in a real life. The coordinated, directed motion of the human body determines the process and structure of the work of art, supposing dynamic thinking and acting. The experimental artist plays against the medium, the apparatus. The artist who applied audiovisual electronics could create anything from nothing. The cores are the electronic signals. Visual music and synesthesia are closely related in many components to each other. In my opinion, the electronic-based synchrony and syncresis, or the similar thinking and approach, can be regarded as models of certain forms of synesthesia. This is more than only an association.